Welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
I'm Suzen Tekla Kruglnska from the Comedy Film Funnel and Shining 237 and Rosemary's Baby 666.
And I'm Joe Dator, the author of Inked, and I am soon to be debuting my new cosplay character, Babu Fett.
Wow. That's a good... I'm impressed that you got there first, as far as we're concerned. I haven't heard anybody come up with that, so it's a good.
I am there.
It's a good one.
I'm there, and I'm
right.
digging my heels in there.
Well, luckily, you're also here to talk about minute 42. 42 of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. 42 starts with Finn shouting no. And then it ends with Rey saying, Finn, there are things you don't know. So,
I thought it started with we.
Oh, right, we. Like that Billy Corgan roller coaster thing.
Yeah, like all those pieces of the spaceship start falling down. And like, wee.
Right.
Very cool.
Everybody starts dancing in it.
It looks great. It looks amazing. Doesn't it?
It's a great explosion.
Yeah.
It's a very nice explosion.
Beautiful.
Can I just say really quickly, if you listen, now you should always watch this, obviously, with headphones on if you're at home. You can almost hear, I think they put in little subliminal kind of chewy sound. Did anyone else notice that? Like there's a little bit of a chewy groan kind of sound. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of noticed it. Yeah.
I thought
maybe I'm imagining things.
Was it your stomach?
No, I don't think so.
You didn't eat lunch
here.
Yeah, your order from Porgo Loco hadn't arrived yet. So
Always thinking with your stomach.
Yeah. Is Chewie here? What's going on? Oh, I'm hungry. Yeah, that could be it.
Right. Oh, look. Yeah. There you go. Speaking of which.
What do you guys think of Mochi's ship? Mochi? What's his name?
Mochi.
That little binoculars looking
Mochi
ship.
Bastoon. Well, they'll be on the ship in a second. I do want, in the green room in between yesterday and today, we did mention that we didn't really dive into Rey's lightning very much. And
yeah, that's true.
I did. We should talk about it because it is an important kind of development here.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because you see lightning later coming through someone's fingertips. So it's a little,
We've seen that before coming from somebody's fingertips.
We've seen it. And of course, we've seen it. Yeah, of course, we've seen it before.
We see thunder,
so when you see lightning. When you see lightning, who else have we ever seen lightning come from anyone else's fingertips?
I mean, in Star Wars or in general?
In Star Wars. In Star Wars, have we seen lightning? Did Vader ever do that? Was there ever lightning?
No, it's only ever
Robot
been.
hands.
I mean,
only ever
it might have gone
guy.
Interesting.
Threw him into something else, via his fingertips, but he was not generating the lightning.
Seems like a little genetic glitch there, or genetic, pretty interesting anyway.
So we can assume that this is all part of the Spider-Verse and Rey is related to Electro, Jamie Foxx, right?
The assassin?
Everything's part of the Spider-Verse.
Sure.
You name it, it's all part of the Spider-Verse.
I'm surprised Kylo Ren does not seem to be a Force lightning guy.
Well, he is very, you note his face when that happened. So he was like, oh, because I think he wants to be. He would love to be a Force lightning guy.
But why not why not yet?
I don't think he can do it.
I don't think he can do it. I think it's genetic. I say it's genetic. I know that Joe's going to disagree with me, but I think it could be genetic if we haven't seen anybody else do it.
I will begrudgingly admit that there is one possible explanation.
Dooku did it.
Dooku did it.
Yeah.
Dooku did it.
Oh, no, he didn't. Did he? Yeah, you're right. He did. Okay, so we know
all right,
more than one person can do it. So she could be...
Or
oh my God,
Dooku is related to Palpatine.
Or Rey Dooku. It was a fun thing to say.
I'm sure there's inbreeding. Among the Sith.
It seems obvious that
Luke and Leia?
Her two parents are Palpatine and Dooku, who had a baby.
Right.
They both got together. They loved each other very much, laid an egg, and it was Rey.
A Sith stork showed up, and next thing you know.
sorry, just quickly, we forgot to say, but I love that Kylo is like kind of shocked that she's, he's like
Shocked.
impressed and shocked and completely surprised. And then he pretends he wasn't surprised later, but he's like, oh yeah, he kind of acknowledges that he pretends that he knew that she was going to do that. I knew that was going to happen, but you see in his face. Yeah, you could see in his face. He was just like, what the hell,
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting, not only is he surprised, but he's kind of in awe of her, and also extremely jealous that she can do that and he probably can't, despite his mastery of the Force and his devotion to the dark side. But he knows he's wrestling with the light side inside. It's a good kind of moment of him kind of reacting briefly. You could read a lot in his face from that, or at least I can. Maybe I'm reading too much into his face. No,
it's good. It's good acting. He's just like, I think him and Daisy Ridley are just, that elevates these movies so much, is they're both just such superb actors. Like they really just nail every single thing, every line and every facial expression, in a way that most people could not pull off. I think they're just both fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has this great look that's sort of like a combination of, WTF and, oh, I think I know WTF. I have an idea of what this means, and
you think he's listening to podcasts?
He thinks he's listening to Marin
in his helmet. He's got a little built-in.
Yeah. Hey guys. Yeah, he's listening to that.
Right.
So, I'm in my yard this morning, right? And my cat comes in, and 20 minutes of that before we get to the guest. I always skip ahead. But anyway, so I could see he was as annoyed as me when he first tunes in. No, but yeah, I mean, he has this great look on his face, like this means something, and he thinks he knows what it might mean. So
he kind of smirks. He smirks.
She does a lot of looking at her own hand. Like, what did I just do? Mm-hmm. What the hell just happened? What came out of me? Is it the hand? Did I do something? Is there something I need to worry about with my hand?
She should look, and then like you see, like inside her hand is a tiny little Sith Lord.
Right. Yeah. Hello.
That's
yeah.
I got him.
Hey. What
there you go.
What do you think it feels like to suddenly emit lightning out of your fingertips like that?
Shocking.
Shocking.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume it's a kind of a relief. Suddenly you just get kind of all that.
Right.
It's like a stress reliever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you got to sneeze really bad and then it comes out.
Yeah.
Just.
But you've never sneezed before. You didn't know that you could sneeze, and all of a sudden you sneeze, and you're like, oh, is that what everybody was talking about?
A lifetime of sneeze finally coming out of you, and you feel good, and then you feel guilty for feeling good. She probably
because you accidentally killed somebody with your sneeze.
Right, she probably feels incredibly guilty for how physically orgasmic it must have felt to her,
Well, she just killed a bunch of people. I don't think she's happy about that.
I didn't say happy about it. I said
she doesn't like killing people in general.
No one does. But if you also felt this incredible physical well-being afterwards, you'd be very, very upset. You'd be like, wait a minute. Does my body want me to be a mass murderer? I don't want that.
Well, I think
we should have cut back to Kylo Ren and Rey just standing there like smoking cigarettes, like watching the smoking, like, just killed a lot of people, didn't I? Like, yeah, you did. No.
Yeah.
They would never show someone smoking cigarettes in a...
Well, we get a rating. No. I know.
They want to go... No.
Death sticks.
Go home and rethink your life after that.
Yeah. According to the book.
Oh, yes.
By the book. If we were to go by the book.
According to our old friend, the Star Wars Visual Dictionary, seen here, available in bookstores and on Blu-ray, Rey's lightning is both hydromatic and systematic. Rey's lightning! Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
Star Wars Minute.
Hey, nice.
Well done.
Did you know that in 2021... 304 million airplanes went up in the air, and only 11 of them were hit by lightning and were damaged to the extent that they needed to have maintenance on them. Planes get hit by lightning a lot.
The fuselage
Nice.
of the plane absorbs the lightning very well.
So I'm wondering,
like
why is force lightning stronger than regular lightning, or are the Imperial ships just poorly designed that a lightning bolt would take them out?
I think it's different. I don't think it's the same as
No, it
sky
can't be.
lightning. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's different.
Can't be. That would be
Well,
ridiculous.
if I can also
Sky lightning is just
knock
really
stuff over
hot
in my
and
studio.
electricity. This is hot. It's electricity. It's got flavor to it. It's got like a spicy flavor to it that comes through.
Yeah.
It sounds.
What does
It's got a
force lightning
sound.
taste like?
It's a full sensory experience that's overwhelming, and you explode.
Lightning
You blow
extreme.
up. Yeah, it's extreme lightning. It's like, with 3 X's, and yeah, it comes through.
the new flavor of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and it has an incredible sound and smell but it's got evil in it. The evil comes through in the little strands of lightning, a huge amount of evil that comes through, which you don't get with regular lightning. Regular Earth lightning, it's nice and sweet and deadly.
Well, there's animals on this planet who, electric eels create, electricity. So there is a way, for biological creatures to create electricity. And so I would assume that that's different than, the lightning. I mean, it's all electricity. But, it's like, it's, you could think of it that way. It's biologically, it's organically, created electricity, which, and then you throw in her, that there's some kind of pulling action going on as she's doing this, that just adds to the energy.
What you don't see
We've
is
only- we've
anytime the
seen two
Emperor
people-
does it, he's rubbing balloons on himself. You can't see right up just off camera. He's got.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go on.
He's got
Alex.
people to do that.
Yeah, right. That's what
I
all
know, I was
those
gonna say, we've
Sith
seen two-
weirdos are doing.
We've seen 2 people, as far as I know, we've seen 2 people die as a result of force lightning in the films, although never directly by the force lightning. We saw Mace Windu get thrown out a window after being shocked, and we've seen this incident. I guess presumably more than one person died. The whole crew of even if Chewie didn't die, at least several child soldiers were killed in this
And,
explosion.
I would say it
so.
contributed to Darth Vader's demise.
That's true.
Force lightning kind of going through, short-circuiting his systems.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Okay.
allow that.
I mean, what was going to happen to
But yeah,
Luke
so
if he
sometimes-
hadn't stepped in? If he was just going to be,
We don't know.
fried into a crisp, into like a roast shrimp or something on a barbecue.
Emperor was never
on
going
the
to kill.
floor.
He was
of
never
the-
going to kill Luke.
Yeah,
He's going to be Luke was going to be a Sith Lord with just like hair that just stuck out all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
with like a Yosemite
static.
Sam with the ash all over his face after getting blasted
Right,
in the face.
right.
He would just look like that forever. Like Yahoo Serious.
Susan, what were you going to say?
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like in the case of Mace Windu, it was used to move a human being, to actually carry a human being, right? So that's what she's doing too. It's using electricity to, like, propel or pull or push or mobilize something, which is pretty kind of interesting. Again, so it's something completely different. It has it has an ability to grab on and whatever. So anyway, I don't know. I think it's, again, very unique to her, and a little evidence. I don't know. Evidence.
Yeah.
I made a joke about the editing yesterday, but I think the pacing and editing in this scene is really good. Like this whole desert confrontation with Kylo Ren that leads up to this moment, the pacing of it is really good. You get these long shots on, like, close up on Rey's face while she's, recovering from what just happened, and you really stay with her on that. And then the whole, the thing prior to that where, the TIE fighter is coming around and she's waiting for it and jumps over it. It's cool. It's really well done. I think,
I love that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it's magnificent. And it's so senseless. It doesn't make any sense. It's so nonsensical. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's just kind of there to be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just 100% there to be
Right.
cool, but it hits the nail on the head. It's so cool that you just enjoy every second of it. So beautifully, like you said, edited is part of it. Yeah, I think editing is huge. Is a lost art in a lot of these movies, and this one's very well edited.
Yeah, I think what
for
threw
sure.
me off when I saw the film and every time since is that the beginning of the film, like the first 20 minutes, I think the editing is all over the place. I think it's very erratic, and pretty much any scene involving Leia, the editing by necessity is very unnatural seeming. And so it really throws me off. But by the time you get to the middle of the film, the pacing slows down a bit. And since I'm an old guy from the 70s, I like my films to stay on a shot for a long time and really show me something happening with the characters. Long time.
I agree. And yet, I can't logically explain why this film works for me, and yet it does. So...
I think often when you can't explain it, it is the editing. I think people don't, you don't notice it, but it really, it's such a big thing. I notice it when the editing's off. And I think the beauty is that the art of it is that you don't notice when it's absolutely magnificent, when it's really well done.
Yeah, it's true. And this whole sequence, I think, I like it. I think part of the problem I have is this movie, I think, suffers from what I'd call J.J. Abrams disease, which is where he favors spectacle over sense often. And I think that he was the absolute right person to direct The Force Awakens because it was more of a light-hearted film, and I think this one just needed a different director, because he often will go for something that looks really cool and doesn't make a lick of sense. A lot of the time.
Gee, Star Wars doing that? That's hard to believe.
I know,
hard to
but
imagine, yeah.
usually it's looks just enough sense that I don't notice it. And with J.J. Abrams, I notice it. I notice how absurd it is. And he has this. The problem he has is he always makes everything bigger, but somehow the stakes of it become lower. Like the Death Star destroyed a planet. We're gonna have the Starkiller destroy a whole system, and yet somehow you care less. Because it's so over the top. It's so over the top that it becomes impossible to get any kind of grounding or any kind of handle on it, and then you start to not care anymore. And that's a thing he keeps doing over and over again.
I couldn't disagree more about this movie because I think it has a lot of heart. Which, again, so, I think that the whole Rey thing, so... Star Wars, this Disney series is so much more female centric, and they're making a lot of points about femaleness, I think, which is really, I really appreciate having this central character. And then what they did with Leia, making her, this great general who didn't need the Force, and who the whole second episode, eighth episode, was about, how a female way of doing politics or doing war, may make more sense sometimes than a male, way of doing it. And I don't know if that's lost on a lot of people, but I notice it because I think a lot about this stuff in the real world. And, I've actually argued on comments boards about how women, there's a lot of evidence that women make in some ways better politicians than men because we studies show, tend to promote peace a little bit more and that kind of thing. And I'm just absolutely piled on when I do stuff like that because I don't know if people I don't know, in this day and age, maybe you're not supposed to say stuff like that. But I think I really appreciate that this movie is much more female centric and kind of really pushes forward some of the really beautiful qualities of femaleness. And I think that's in this movie. And I think that, it makes sense that men might not enjoy that as much. In a way, we I enjoy it so much that Rey is this beautiful character who's a healing person. She uses the Force to heal and to bring life back and all that stuff. And it's such a contrast from Luke. Luke was really interesting and a great hero, but Rey's a different kind of hero. And I think actually it makes sense to have this kind of hero to wrap it up because there's a lot more of a message about peace and love and healing and, not killing and all that stuff. So I appreciate that. And I think that because of that, this movie has a lot more heart. And so for me, I felt like the stakes were there. And I just felt everything more. I just felt this movie. And I think the dialogue's much better too. So they carry that message in a really great way, in a way that was almost better than in the second episode, because it was just better written in those ways. I know there's faults with it. I'm not saying this is a perfect movie, but I love this movie.
You're not saying this is a perfect movie?
Why we had you scheduled here.
I actually really agree because I think force healing is a very good power to introduce at this stage because again we've had for 40 years we've had a series where 50% of the title is wars, and now we're introducing things like in the last movie was Luke astrally projecting himself in order to fight without fighting, in order to fight and defeat an enemy in a non-aggressive way. And now you have Force healing, which is literally the opposite of killing. It's the opposite of fighting. And it's a way of using the Force in something that, to me, from 40 years of liking Star Wars, feels very correct for the Jedi to do, is to, use your power for defense and never for attack. This is going back 40 years. This is what the Force is supposed to be about. So, the introduction of Force healing, I never thought of it as something that was, like a mother power, like a feminine power, like giving life or anything like that. But it makes sense when you say it like that. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It does represent, it's, again, so you said kind of that, like, oh, you're not sure if you're supposed to be able to, if you're allowed to say those kinds of things. You're supposed to say those kinds of things in this day and age. I think you can. The three of us as white men can't really comment too much on. I mean, we can comment on what you said and support. Yes, I agree with a lot of what you said, but we can't be like, what, women are like this, because it's
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, people think things are sexist. There's a in between, where you're like, women are this way, men are this way, but we're not. I mean, I never wanted kids, so I'm the perfect person to say it too, because I actually never, so I'm implying that women are nurturing, are more preserve, so if you look at it evolutionarily, obviously this is preserve thing where we want to protect and nurture and all that stuff. And I actually never, and then that would be because, women reproduce and we are needed to, take care of little ones. I never wanted kids ever, never. I never for a second in my life wanted kids. So it's sort of, I'm even more allowed to say that, because I do think it's a feminine thing to be a little more communal and protective. But at the same time, I'm not that feminine. I'm, in the aggregate. So, but I just think that, in this day and age, again, we want to get away from stereotypes, but at the same time, there's a lot of beauty in what is masculine and what is feminine. And, we've sort of, women have been, we're only just now getting women parity with everything, equal women in college, equal women in, the Olympics. And, there's so many places where we're just getting parity. And now we're kind of tossing out like what is great about being a woman, in a way, if we say like, oh, we don't want to be sexist and stereotype women. Well, there's a lot of great things about the feminine. So I just wanted to bring that up without, I'm trying to maintain that balance of
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's what's great about this series, the Disney series, is I think it seems very, very deliberate that they were trying to do that. And it's, again, why it's such a shame that Carrie Fisher passed away, because they would have really gone to town with it, in the last one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, not only as a character, but as a person, as a, what she represents, who she was.
I wonder if we'll ever
would have brought a lot to this.
I wonder if we'll ever find out like what the rough, because there's everyone's saying, oh yeah, this episode would have focused on Leia. I wonder if there was ever any plot points or anything outlined as to how that would be manifest. Because I mean,
I wondered that too. Yeah.
Somebody told me something recently, and I don't know where they pulled it from, and I can't remember what it was. So, good story.
I could see her maybe being like a Yoda instructor type person, but it's hard to see her being like the center of the action in the traditional sense,
No, yeah.
Feet on the ground, running around shooting people
kind of
or whatever,
Her developing Rey, and I think Rey's kind of pedigree was different. Rey was not involved with there was the Emperor wasn't in the movie at all. And Rey was the daughter of
Snoke.
Maybe she was another Han and Leia child. Maybe somebody told me something. I don't remember what it was. I wiped it from my memory because I got to focus on what we got here.
It seemed like we would have gotten this great cathartic reunion of Leia and her son. We would have had scenes with Adam Driver and Carrie Fisher together, which would have been incredibly emotional.
Which would have done the movie. That would have helped a lot. That would have helped a lot. Because you never feel the connection. You never feel the connection between them. Really, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and they didn't meet on screen before this, right? They wouldn't have. It would have been the first time, right?
Although I
have a feeling.
Go ahead,
sorry.
Susan.
I was just going to say, I have a feeling they would have had her do something monumentally heroic, to save the day, but it would have been, again, in a, sort of peaceful, preserving kind of way, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to move on to the scene on Ochi's ship, unless we have anything else.
Well, rare instance of we don't get to watch the ship take off or watch it, like fight some TIE fighters. We just kind of like, hey, everybody get on the ship, and then cut to where the ship is, which struck me as odd.
I want to
very peculiar.
I want to say the wipe to the shot of the floating asteroids. It reminds me very much of the first shot in the Boba Fett animation from the holiday special. Floating asteroids. Go look it up. Seriously.
Right,
I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it's a very neat shot. So I brought up
There's a lot of faces.
Say again.
Go ahead.
No, you.
No, just in the asteroids, you see if I think they do this on purpose. Whoever is designing this, you can kind of see faces a little bit. If they're sort of face like, and even in the ship.
Let me look.
I mean, yeah, I think that you can see like you can see almost a chimp head, which may be a reflection back to that guy who was fixing the helmet, the helmet fixer, and I'm forgetting his name.
I see gold in my ear,
and then you
in one.
No, seriously, I'm not kidding. I think they do that on purpose because it adds a spooky element. I think they do that in horror movies and stuff. It's really good to kind of like subliminally place, if you can design it that way, like, faces. And even the ship looks a little bit like a face. Like I had talked about this at Close Encounters, if you look at some of those ships at the end, they have like these really spooky faces. I think that that's a thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but
I'm looking at the asteroids now and I see two. I see Gold in My Ear is one and another one is Jerry Van Dyke. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
It's obvious. Like when you see it, you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee.
You can't unsee it. You can't unsee it.
Yeah.
And it's very spooky.
I've been handed an update that
Jerry Van Dyke.
Sith star of Coach. The Sith chimp's name is Albrecht. So that's that was the update.
Albrecht Dure.
Albrecht, the Sith chimp.
Albrecht Dure.
Well, he's an alchemist, actually. Albrecht the alchemist.
Oh, of course.
So the gang is kind of mourning the loss of Chewie. And I mean, we love Chewie because we've been on a lot of adventures with him. But would they be just as upset if like Hobbit Toes had died or any of the other minor Claude or any of the other minor background rebels?
Well, let me ask you this. When you were first introduced to the character of Chewie, how long did it take you to fall in love with him?
20 minutes?
Yeah, see?
So
I mean,
he grows on you real fast.
Yeah,
he's a beloved character.
I'm assuming when you say when you're first introduced to him, you mean in Solo, a Star Wars story.
That's.
Oh no, wait, we see him in Revenge of the Sith first, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the time I first fell in love with him was when Yoda climbed up on his back like a little monkey.
Yeah,
that was I was like, oh, Chewie.
Right.
So this gives us good. I'm gonna once again, I am asking you to indulge me in the novelization of Star Wars Episode 9: The Rise of Skywalker by Ray Carson.
Ray.
This we go a little bit into Ray Skywalker, not Ray Carson, into their insight, their inner monologue. And Ray is still freaked out, obviously, and this kind of extends until tomorrow too, but she's freaked out about what just happened. And here she brings up, she said she was, can't believe that she just kind of did this to Chewie. Chewie had done so much for her. The Falcon was arguably his by right, but after Han died, Chewie had offered the pilot seat to her. And she had repaid this act of enormous generosity and respect by killing him. So, interestingly, they just throw in this little nugget about
offhand
the provenance, the ownership of the Millennium Falcon, which is she doesn't say that she doesn't say that Chewie gave the ship to her. She's like Chewie offered the pilot seat to her. This Millennium Falcon was arguably his by right.
Yeah.
By right.
Maybe she did it on purpose. Yeah.
So I mean, there are other, legally, I guess, Leia or Kylo Ren could even, have a legal claim to it.
It's interesting that you could be the pilot of the Millennium Falcon, but still it's not yours.
Yeah.
It belongs to the co-pilot. He holds the
It's like a jockey riding a horse. The jockey doesn't own the horse. The jockey's just there to do a job. So
No, he owns the other
Ray
jockeys.
is like a jockey.
if he's good.
Do you does the novelization give any insight into, does Rey understand what the lightning is? Does she know what this force lightning is? Did she read about it in the sacred text? Did Leia tell her about it?
I think she just realized that she did something and that she knew it was the force, happening, but
But
she
not
didn't-
necessarily an evil force thing that,
I mean, she felt what it was, I think.
she's like
Yeah, she
Inspector
was totally
Gadget
shocked. Do a little
where-
more research
where
here.
something suddenly.
But in the movie,
I'm going to do a little more research.
Rey has already had this vision of the Sith throne and herself on it, so she must have an inkling that it's connected to that when it happens. I mean, there's sort of look of bafflement on her face and confusion and despair, but also she must know on some level that it has to do with that. Right? I mean, that's how Daisy Ridley plays it, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't, I'm not catching up on my reading like some people.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, never mind. Go on.
I was listening.
Go back
I was
to your
reading
book.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, expanded edition novelization by Rick
That's
Carson.
interesting. What a weird time to suddenly go and read that.
It doesn't. She just kind of is upset. Doesn't say like how much she did with the
WTF.
Force. It doesn't say like. Yeah. But she does. It comes up a little bit in tomorrow's minute. How that it was. There's an assumption of sorts, though I guess we'll talk about it tomorrow if you guys can come back tomorrow. I already have another thing that we are going to talk about for tomorrow, so we'll table a couple of things.
Well, we have some more things I didn't know about Star Wars to get through before we wrap up.
Well, this
today's
minute ends
show.
with Rey saying there are things you don't know, and
here we go. Sorry, backing up a second. What have I done? Fear led to the dark side after all. She'd been fine so long as her fear was tempered by peace and resolve. But the moment she gave in to rage and terror, Chewbacca was gone. The Falcon was probably gone. Ochi's dagger was gone. She'd ruined everything.
And the end.
So that, roll.
That's the last page,
George
right?
Lucas.
Minute.
It's over.
So she does kind of realize. I think she knows she's in touch with the Force and with herself enough to realize that was a dark side thing that happened. Kind of.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, she says, Finn, there are things you don't know. And what a perfect segue into the top 10 things you don't know about the rise of Skywalker. And
yes.
Here's
episode 2 of the top.
Episode 2. This is installment number 2 of the top 5 things you don't know about the rise of Skywalker. Number 5. In an early version of the script, the iconic line, "I have a bad feeling of this," was replaced with, "That's a spicy meatball." Bet you didn't know that.
It's
weird.
Slightly offensive on my behalf, but it's okay. I'll allow it.
And number 3.
Oh, no, you're Italian too now. So
that's true. I'm Italian. In fact, I'm Sicilian. So watch it. Number 3. Ian McDiarmid signed on to be in the film only after the producers agreed to his demand for unlimited free admission to Six Flags Waterslide Kingdom. The man loves waterslide. The man
and he said it like that too. He's like, unlimited free admission.
Yeah, the man loves waterslides. He would go every morning for hours until he's all wrinkled and then right to the set. Save on makeup.
That's why he's so wrinkled. That's why Palpatine
I do.
Chlorine in his eyes.
I genuinely wonder if they did, because the actor was older now, if they were able to go easy on the prosthetics compared to what they needed in 1983. It seems like they might have.
No prosthetics. He just looked like a weird blind puppet. And they're like, oh, perfect. Let's ride around.
I'm saying this as an old man. I'm saying this as a man who recently grew a white beard in order to look younger. So, I can say this. I understand what happens to the male face after a certain number of decades. So I have an understanding of it. So I'm really genuinely curious as to whether they could go sort of light on the prosthetics on him. It seems like
no, right?
Maybe. What?
I thought we covered that he was not wearing any prosthetics.
Wait, really? You did cover that?
Yeah. Okay.
I guess
it's all just lighting tricks. And
missed that.
They had to have CGI'd his eyes. Yeah,
Force lighting.
I mean, can't see him
maybe contacts, but
submitting to those horrible, painful
didn't he
contacts.
He hated the contact. Yeah, didn't.
I think it's digital.
I'm sure they
very
see.
painful.
yeah.
So can I just say, so now Chewie's been dead. I want to go back to the Chewie death clock. Chewie death clock. Chewie's now been dead for 1 minute and 3 seconds. I'm gonna move the needle.
Okay.
And
right.
we'll just keep track. Just keeping track.
All right.
1 minute and 3 seconds. Chewie's been dead.
So
it's very sad.
It's time to
Very
move
sad.
on, is what you're saying.
No, not yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I keep
Like, get over
Let it go.
Get over it. He's
Keep track
dead.
of
He's
this.
gone.
Keep track of
Let's
this.
just stop dwelling on the past.
Mala's already signed
She's
up
already
for
remarried.
Wookie. What is the dating app thing? I don't
plenty of
know. Plenty of Wookiees.
Yeah, it's like Wookie Cupid. Yeah.
There you go.
Wookie Cupid.
Wookie Cupid. I think it's time for us to move on, unless anybody has. Well, like we said, but a lot of the stuff that we have continues into tomorrow. We're going to have more conversation about what just happened. People kind of wrestling with their feelings. Can you guys come back tomorrow?
I can.
I'm gonna cancel everything. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's Wookiee stuff that has to be discussed.
Yeah.
So.
I have
Arrangements.
I have a sneaking suspicion about somebody else who might come back tomorrow.
All right.
Okay.
Tomorrow, huh?
Well, if you guys all can come back, you listening at home, if you can come back tomorrow. But hey, before you do, find us on some social media. As of this recording, we still have a Twitter at Star Wars Minute, Instagram, The Star Wars Minute, TikTok, The Star Wars Minute. We've been posting stuff there more. And you can find us. There's a Facebook group of like-minded listeners at StarWarsMinute.com/Facebook. So plenty of options. Plenty of social media in the sea, and hopefully we'll meet you back here, all of us,
Star Wars
tomorrow. Star Wars
Minute.